This is the shoulders as well. We stabilize on either side of this middle trapezius, the lower trapezius pulled down, but then we've got the upper end, this video's title, Clothing's Effect on the Upper Trapezius, they pull up from the neutral. So stabilization pulling down from the neutral and up from the neutral. We've got a neutral position that we can stay stable in because either side is being pulled away from. But this is the thing, is if we can't get to the upper end of our neutral in our shoulders, and it's not here yet, it's not here yet, or there, or there, or there, it's about there. I mean, the shoulders can really rise, you know, so much more than anyone who's the average person in 2026. Let me say this very clearly. What I really mean to say is so much higher than most people in modern 2026, at least, and going forth in this unnatural, modern, man-made world that gets placed onto God's natural earth. Understand, right? Most people think that the shoulders don't go as high as they really do, but the shoulders go up, man. They really rise, but only if we can oppose Earth's vertical gravity pulling down on us to get our shoulders to come up first to rest in their neutral. That's the big deal. But then from there, the shoulders really can rise high. Okay, not just meaning there's a lot of natural motion in the shoulders. You saw me earlier, if you did, moving my shoulder blades around, you know, there's a lot of natural motion in the shoulders if it's not restricted. But this is what I'm saying, you know, no kind of sales pitch, but just truly, if I never had a clothing company here under In The Image Clothing Company, clothing truly is the only fix to human beings' physical, mechanical problems like this. How could it not be? It's the only thing physically placed on us. It's stuff like this. You can't lift your shoulders up if your clothing is pulling your shoulders down. I mean, it's just that simple. It's gravity and physics, mathematics, you know, it's truth. It's not an opinion. It's not a sales pitch. It's not conditional to any human being or any time period, ever. Okay, it just is what it is, yeah. That's why we have In The Image Clothing Company here, is to deliver universal, eternal, unchanging truth that we don't get to decide as human beings, okay? Things that are apart from all of us, like just the body, and it grows by itself. It only does what it does. So these upper trapezius, they've got to be able to come up. If they can't, they can't. I mean, it's like, you know, just having a weight on something all day, and it's not just like that. That's the truth. You know, clothing, it weighs something. If there's something placed on you, it's got to weigh something. You know, nothing weighs nothing, really. You know, in the sake of a clothing, yeah, when we're talking about a clothing item, in that case, you can't have it not weigh anything. You've got weight hanging on your shoulders if you're wearing a top. Okay, even if it's very light, there's something there that your body's trying to work with, really trying to work around, right? That just would never be there unless we made it as human beings. God designed the body to work. The body would just work unless or until altered. Why else do we have this thing unless it's supposed to work? And we've got our own individual situations, our own individual bodies, but with this universal human design, I mean, unless we had these modern man-made machinery type things, cars and, you know, vehicles like this, bicycles and, well, whatever you could possibly say, that we make as human beings, our bodies are a mechanical machine that make mechanical machines. Well, the body always just had to work. Unless you rode on the back of an animal, before modern technology, you wouldn't go anywhere if your body didn't take you there. That's why we have it. It's just supposed to take us across the earth. That's why the human being exists on this physical planet Earth. And that's the reason. What I'm saying is, you know, we've got to lift our bodies up off the earth, or else we don't even get out of bed. You know, you're laying on the ground, let's say, you don't even get off the earth's surface if you can't lift up, opposing Earth's gravity. And the only trapezius muscle of the three, upper, middle, or lower, that lifts up is the upper. I mean, watch my shoulders rise. I'm talking, the shoulders really rise. Watch this. That's from the neutral. Okay, I mean, the shoulders, they rise, man, if they're allowed to. If the body's not altered, well, it was designed to work, it should. Right? Seen with context, but yes. I mean, we give the information of this so thoroughly and deeply under In The Image Clothing Company, you couldn't possibly dispute what we're discussing because it's not our choices. It's like this video, and this is going to be a very, very, very thorough video. unless something happens and I get interrupted or something, right? But yeah, the upper trapezius, clothing's effect on the upper trapezius. This video's title, the 1st of May 2026, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. Well, yeah, that's the big point, is out of anything that clothing is going to affect the body's ability to do, what the big thing that clothing will affect probably the most out of anything we could say, because clothing, it can really affect rotations of the body, you know, internal rotation or external rotation from the neutral, with things like ropes twisting the body, or, you know, rotated seams with robots, truly, in modern 2026, stitching our clothing, and the seams get rotated, and they rotate our bodies when our bodies have their own rotations within our clothing, you know. Yeah, but free modifications, right? That's what I'm saying. Under In the Image Clothing Company, In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification is a big deal. The big thing, though, with what's probably one of the absolute biggest things that clothing is going to limit the body from doing is rising. Okay? Because gravity. That's the biggest deal with this. Gravity's pulling down on our clothing. It's already pulling down on our bodies, and we already have to just have our bodies be physically strong enough to lift themselves up, opposing Earth's vertical gravity pulled down. Yeah, and we've got to have it continue to mesh with the center line of our bodies as well, just the vertical pull to gravity. But then let's say we place clothing on our bodies, and even if it only weighs a little bit, that's more weight than would ever be there unless we had this man-made thing we call clothing that we place onto our bodies. And so there you go. Okay, it's hard to lift the shoulders. The only one of the 3 trapezius muscles that lift is the upper. And this is the one that's really going to keep us supported vertically on Earth's vertical gravity pull. And this is the one that has the clothing item placed directly on it. That's a top. I mean, sure, we can say the top sits against the mid trapezius on our back, but it just kind of rests there, you know. It's not really touching the back all that much on the mid trapezius, the top item of clothing. And it's not really touching the lower trapezius much on our back. It's kind of just hanging against it with Earth's gravity. It's not really going to affect it very much just by being there. A top item of clothing, okay, the mid or lower trapezius, they're not really going to have much of an effect at all because of clothing just there, you know. But the upper trapezius, it's supporting the whole shoulder weight, and then now the whole weight of the clothing item as well. Clothing's effect on the upper trapezius. The 1st of May, 2026, In the Image Clothing Company's main side. Well, you know, tops, they're like a cage for the shoulders. We discussed the top items of clothing that we wear as human beings needing to sit, as I said a little bit earlier in this video, as close as we can with the joints of the material, meshing with the joints of the body parts of the shoulder. We've got 3 bones coming together to meet and become the shoulder, and we need the shoulder seam at the edge of our tops to just be as close to that as we can.